Okay, so Mark Douglas wrote Trading in the Zone, and the biggest takeaway from that book for me were the three words "anything can happen." I probably say it at least once or twice a day in the chat room to my members to remind them anything can happen. So, if you follow me on Twitter, you might have seen that I sort of had it out with a guy who runs another chat room, but that wasn't my intention at all. And really, we didn't battle. It was just more of a discussion. But the only reason I did it was so I could show the thread to our group afterwards as a trading lesson. Okay, so and I'm just it's not worth it to get into anybody else's names or whatever. You can look it up on Twitter, but and I don't have all the exact numbers, but this guy that runs another chat room was short VCEL, and this is just what other people tell me. I don't even know the amounts or anything. Was short VCEL from Thursday. Remember, the market was closed Friday. And I don't know how 10,000 shares. Or I hate to throw out a number, but they said he was down $11,000 near the close on Thursday, and then today you get the actually it gapped up and started to run a little bit before reversing, and I'm pretty sure somewhere in here he was adding to the short after holding it for 3 days, 10 to 15,000 underwater or something like that. And he ended up being okay. So I'm more comfortable making this video having had him get away with it than making a video about someone who got crushed, because then it's going to just make me look like a jerk, right? So he came out okay. I'm pretty sure he made some decent money on it. But the thread kind of goes like this. He posts VCEL, and this was, I don't have a timestamp. Sometime this morning when VCEL finally started to sell off, he posts VCEL was a no-brainer short Friday. I think he meant Thursday because the market was closed Friday. Friday and into this morning. Now on to find the next one. All right. His post would have been an entirely different tone if something else had happened. But so I just responded to his post and said, "What was your plan if it opened at $12 today?" And he replied, $12 based on what? Was up 200% on phase 2 data that they are spinning by not something something something. I don't know. So he just looked at the story and decided that being up 200% on phase 2 data, it had to have topped out. All right. So then I replied, "Why did KBIO run to $45? It doesn't matter, does it? Anything can happen. So I was asking if you had a plan, that's all." And he says, "KBIO was a different beast altogether. Can't even compare the two for a what if scenario." I said, "Okay, I guess that's safe to say you didn't have a plan." The three most important words for traders are anything can happen. Okay, so then he says, "You can assume what you want. I was not all in, so I had plenty to average up if needed." So then I said, "So if Pfizer said over the weekend they're interested in VCEL and it opened at 20, you would have shorted more?" And then he says, "I'm not playing hypotheticals with you, looking for my next trade. Good luck." And again, I'm sure I came off as being a jerk, but I just knew the thread would be extremely instructive, to newer traders. So he's not playing hypotheticals, which means he held several thousand shares overnight on a low float biotech. And just think if Pfizer would have said this weekend, "Hey, we really like what VCEL is doing. We're really interested in that company," and it opened at 20. You've all seen stranger things happen. So his phase 2 argument means nothing to me because he went into the weekend having no idea what could happen. Now, if you're short something like Boeing or General Motors, something like that overnight, that's a little different than a low float biotech because this could have opened at 20 and run to 50 in one day. We've all seen it happen. So if you're short 20,000 shares, the next thing you're down $20 to $30 a share. Now I'm not saying that's a distinct or real possibility, but it can happen. Anything can happen. So he literally gave no weight to a hypothetical situation of a big pharma looking at VCEL and maybe making a statement about him this weekend, but that could have absolutely crushed him. So then if you wake up today and it's opening at 20 on some crazy news like that, what do you do? Say you're already short 20,000 shares from 550. Again, making up numbers here. Do you short more at 20? So you can easily see, and there was a guy who actually started a GoFundMe account because he was short that KBIO, and I think he only had like $7,000 into it. Now, again, I'm not sure about my numbers. It's somewhere between $1 and $2 a share, right? and he had like maybe 7,000 into it. Next thing you know, it runs to 45, and E-Trade closes it out and gives him a margin call of like $100,000. Again, my numbers aren't perfect, but that was on 7,000. The point is, on a low float biotech, there's no limit to how high they can go. Okay, if you're long one, they can only go to zero. If you're short one, you can literally ruin your account. So again, if this was just a regular trader, I might not have even said anything, but I'm sure that there are members, maybe people trading their first time ever, following this guy, right? Maybe it's their first week trading ever, and they go short their whole account in VSEL because the guy running the room did. And then it opens at 10, 15, 20, or even $8 or $9 would be enough to ruin most people. So again, I'm glad it worked out for him. I probably wouldn't even make this video if he'd got crushed in it, because then it would have just come off as, like I'm laughing at someone's pain, and I don't ever want to do that because we've all been in a lot of pain trading. But if you're smart enough to be able to look at that and see what could have happened, then I think you understand the reason I was throwing those questions at him. You have to have a plan. You have to play the hypothetical game when trading short a low float biotech, because anything can happen. So that, in my opinion, super, super dangerous, and really kind of not a great thing to teach a new trader. But that's just my take on it. I could be wrong.